What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be going over 5 tips to improve your backflip. Now, quick disclaimer before I get started. I know that my backflips are far from perfect, but I also know, faux show, that when I started using these 5 tips in my backflip training, I saw some pretty good improvements. I got a little bit more height, they're looking a little bit more floaty. They felt way better after I started using these 5 tips. So with that in mind, let's get started. Alright, so just moving from the beginning to the end of a backflip, we're going to start with tip number 1, which is all about the jump. So the biggest thing that I see when people go to do the backflip is they start to get really low in their jump, right? I know I personally did this. A lot of people who just started learning the backflip, and it kind of makes sense because if you think about it, you're probably thinking, well, if I can get really low, then it gives me a lot more power to get up because, like, I have all this range of motion. And while it does make some sense, it's actually not helping you at all. Basically what you're doing is you increase the amount of distance that your legs have to extend before you can actually take off in the jump. So by the time you get up to the top, you're moving a lot slower because you had to extend your legs all this way, right? It's going to be way quicker to get to the top if you only squat a little bit. You're going to have more power, it'll take you a little bit higher into the air. If you're pushing really hard into the ground to get all the way up into a jump from that low squat, your legs are going to be pretty much fully extended, and it's going to take a lot more energy and a lot more time to actually wrap them in to that tuck to complete the backflip. So what that's going to do is it's just going to slow down your rotation a little bit because it'll be harder to get in a tuck position. Also, moving along into tip number 2, we are talking about the direction of your jump and your head tilt. So when I say the word backflip, most people probably think, well, it's a flip going backwards over your head. And while that might be kind of true, you don't really want to think about going backwards over your head so much, because if you tend to be jumping backwards, you're going to be cheating yourself on a lot of height that you could be getting, and your backflip's going to land pretty low to the ground. Basically, if you're focusing on jumping backwards a lot, then you're not going to get that much vertical height because you're just moving horizontally. So what you want to try to do is focus more on jumping straight up. That's going to get you a lot more vertical height, and in the end, it's going to make your backflip a lot higher, a little bit more floatier. Now, the thing that makes the backflip so scary is that it is a blind spot going backwards. Now, if someone just throws a backflip for the very first time without fear, there is something wrong with them. That's what makes it so scary, is you can't see anything. So what we do to compensate for that most of the time is we tilt our head back super early. And yeah, that does make it easier to spot the ground earlier, right? Because if I start throwing my head back as soon as I'm leaving the ground, then yes, I will be able to see the ground sooner. It'll be less scary. I'll have a better idea where I am in the air. But it's also going to be taking away from my jumping ability, because even if we're not trying to jump backwards, right? You guys have probably heard the saying, where the head goes, the body follows. So if you're just looking backwards the whole time, you're going to end up jumping backwards anyway, no matter how hard you try. So the best thing to do for this is just a gradual progression. So start by spotting the ground in front of you as long as you can before you get to that top peak, and then tuck. Alright everybody, tip number 3 is all about the arms. Now, I've watched a lot of people do a lot of backflips. A lot of people don't use their arms correctly, if at all. So a lot of people don't even throw their arms up at all when they go to do the backflip, and you're just losing out on height, guys. What you want to try and do is focus on bringing your arms up, straight up over your head. That's really going to help to lift your chest up in the air, and it's going to get you a lot more height. So even if you just do it from standing, right, just stand up. If you're sitting down right now, literally, if you don't believe me, just stand up, right, set like you're about to go on your backflip, right, get a little bit of movement in your legs. Don't let your feet leave the ground, but then swing your arms up over your head like this as hard as you can, and I guarantee you're gonna feel like your weight is just lifting off the floor. That's what you want to feel like, because some people don't even use that at all. So imagine if they start using that in the air when they can already do a backflip. It's gonna get way better. Alright, tip number 4, we're talking the tuck. Now again, a lot of people aren't too focused on their tuck form. They're mostly just worried about making it to their feet so they don't land on their neck. And I mean, I don't blame you, but getting a really tight tuck is super helpful in getting a faster rotation in your backflip. So even if you don't get that high in the air, now you should be getting decent height if you're doing everything that I said before. But even if you're not getting that high in the air, if you have a really tight tuck, you should still be able to land with pretty good form. Now, an ideal backflip, your knees are going to be super close to your chest, right? You're going to have really good control over your legs with your hands. That's what a nice tuck looks like. Now, what I do see a lot is people don't necessarily grab their shins, or if they do, like, it's just a really open tuck. Their thighs are almost at a 90-degree angle with their torso. Like, there's virtually no tuck. This is really going to cut down on the speed of your rotation during your backflip. All right, guys, tip number 5, last one, super easy, repetition. So now this one might seem pretty obvious, and like it really should be, but honestly, guys, this is one of the most often overlooked aspects of getting better at any flip, right? You're not doing it enough. Literally any flip that I've struggled with, I've always wondered, God, how do I get better? How do I get better? Guys, the answer is always repetition. Trust me, even if you're doing it with not so good form, doing it often will help you correct that form much faster than if you're just doing it every now and then. So if you're only doing like 1 or 2 backflips a week and you're just like, God, why do my backflips look like poop on a stick? That's why, like, you're just not doing it enough. So set yourself a schedule, do like at least 1 a day. Make sure you have sessions where you train a specific flip. This goes for any flip that you're trying to get, not just backflips. But make sure you set yourself up a nice schedule where you make sure you're training that move adequately enough. Frequency is key for pretty much any kind of flip progression, guys. So make sure you train it often if you want to get better at it. And there you have it, everybody. That's my 5 tips to improve your backflip. Some of them are kind of obvious, but like I said before, a lot of these just get overlooked. Now, especially if you guys are brand new to tricking or doing flips in general, and the backflip is one of the first things that you guys learn how to do, you're probably not going to be very good at it, and that's totally okay. Try and work on each thing at a time, right? Don't overwhelm yourself with too much new material at once, but make sure you practice as often as you can. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see any more of my tutorials, I have a whole playlist right here at the end of this video you can click on. If you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button for me. I really appreciate everybody who subs to this channel. I hope you all have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.